Hello, everybody. Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? And welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We are some kind of happy that you are joining us and spending a little bit of your time with us today. We've got a great webinar lined up for you today. One of my absolute favorite topics, talking about making and creating video. So let me bring into the room April. How you doing, April?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy Wednesday, friends. Great to see
Happy.
everybody.
It is indeed great to see everybody. So today we are going to be talking about creating online video for training purposes, for learning, which is well, it's the beginning of my career in the online space. It was developing tutorial videos, etc. So as I said, yeah, I'm really pleased that we are going to be sharing this with you today. We got a huge number of people that have signed up today. This is ridiculous.
Well, it's a great subject. Anything with video is a great subject.
Yeah, well, I hope so. This should be good. So for those of you that are new to us, a Webinar Wednesday is a weekly tutorial, free tutorial that we do here at Dottotech, where we teach you some aspect of content creation or online marketing or productivity. And this is our 147th of these particular webinars that we've done. Now, I do have to do a shout out and a big thank you, because it's we are supported. We do these free. They're all free to you. We don't sell anything in them. This isn't a typical sales webinar. We're going to be closing you with some fantastic sales offer at the end of the webinar. These are all free trainings that we do every week here on Dottotech. We used to do them within webinar tools, but we've just started doing them live streaming here to YouTube. But we do have support from a very special group. It's our support, Dottotech, the entire channel here, is supported through our community at Patreon. And they have been, they're the reason that we're able to deliver this content for free to you. We've got something around 800 patrons currently, and always growing, and always appreciate the fact that it's growing. But if you are interested in supporting Dottotech, if you want to take a look, if you find this content valuable and you want to be part of the solution, then I encourage you to drop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/Dottotech. April will drop the link in, and there you can see exactly what's involved in supporting us. Most supporters give us $10 a month, and for that, there are some unbelievably awesome perks. The biggest perk is that you get access to the entire library of these Webinar Wednesdays that we have delivered over the past 3 years. What we do is we take each week's webinar, we leave it available to you for the week. So it's up for a week, so you can watch it. It's free. You can consume it. But then once that week is up, we archive it into our Webinar Wednesday archives, there for the use of our patrons. So we've got, as I say, we've got about around 150 of these tutorials, everything from managing your email more effectively to creating content to some online marketing techniques. There's just a really pretty... Have you scrolled back and looked at the list of how many webinars we've given, April?
It's a lot. And actually, you know what I think is interesting as well is our look has evolved over time, right? So like our backgrounds, our branding, even our personal looks. Although I think you might wear the same color shirt most of the time.
I'm wearing the same color shirt. I'm wearing the same shirt as I wore the first couple of weeks that we were doing the show. Yeah, I haven't changed too much. Although you will see today's video, we have a treat. You will see throwback Steve, and we're throwing back 30 years. Steve, today, when we're taking a look at the show today, we will be taking a look way back in the Wayback Machine at some point. But yeah, so at any rate, thanks so much to our patrons and supporters. I just wanted to do a big shout out to you and let you know how much it means to us to have your support. We are blessed with a phenomenal community here at Dottotech. So for those of you who are new to us, our format is pretty consistent. We make sure that everybody's in the room and settled in. And then for the tutorial part of the webinar, I actually pre-record it. So we'll be streaming through a pre-recorded, it's about a 20-minute training where I walk through the basic training that we're talking about, which is today talking about creating online video for training purposes, creating tutorial videos. And the theme is really going to be doing it on a bootstrap budget today, doing it as inexpensively and as efficiently as possible, hopefully with tools you already have on your computer, on your desktop, available to you as we go. While that video is running, we will be in chat answering as many of your questions as we can within chat. We will come back out of the chat, and then we will have Q&A for the rest of the hour. We try and keep it just under an hour, but we will be here to answer your questions in the Q&A. So feel free to ask questions along. Now, using YouTube Live as opposed to a webinar package, one thing we've learned is it's a little less efficient managing questions. So it's easier, especially with a lot of you in the room, it's easy for us to miss some of the questions. So don't hesitate to ask a question a few times if we haven't answered it. But don't keep posting it like every 3 seconds. But if a few minutes goes by and you don't think that we've captured your question yet, you can always post it again, and we will do our best to answer all of the questions. Additionally, all of the resources that we're going to be sharing within the webinar today, we will send out an email immediately after the webinar with a digest of all of the resources. So if you miss writing down a URL or you don't capture anything, we've got you covered. You will be sent an email. That is if you have registered. If you're just coming into us live, April will drop a registration link, which will ensure that we can send the email to you with all of the information from today's webinar. But if you registered for it through the normal registration process, fear not, you will get a registration, or you will get a follow-up email. So did I cover off all of the details, all of the tech stuff, everything that I think we did?
You did. Right. You are hot to trot today.
I'm on fire. So let's jump into this. I'm looking forward to your feedback. I'm looking forward to the questions and teaching us all a little bit more about creating online video for lessons. So I'm going to jump into the video, and I am wearing the same shirt in the video, so it'll look almost exactly like now, but I recorded it earlier. And then April and I will be back momentarily. We'll be in the chat, but we will see you on the other side in just a few moments. I'm really glad to be able to talk to you guys today about online video for training, or video for online training, which is one of my favorite topics. I'm so partial to it because I guess it's how we've built our career. It's how we've built Dottotech through the use of video. You know, there's so many uses of video, and sometimes we kind of confuse one style of video with another. Live streaming and webinars and training videos and all these different types of video. And we use a lot of the same tools for multiple different types of video. For example, we're doing this live stream or this webinar right now using essentially the same tools as we would use to create training content, which really this is. So there's often crossover in the skills and in the tools that we use, and we'll touch on that as we go along today. But when we talk about creating video for training, for online training, what we're really talking about is a technique called screencasting. And screencasting is essentially, it's used when we use our computer screen as a recording device. Essentially, we capture whatever's happening on the screen in real time. We capture applications and browser windows and slides and graphics, the computer audio, our webcam video and audio, and it's all captured into a video file that we can then edit on a timeline. And more advanced screencasting tools like Screenflow or Camtasia, they capture each of those different elements separately into a different timeline, which means that we can edit each stream independently, which is the technique that I use for my YouTube videos, and actually it's the technique that I'm using right now to record this video that you're watching at this exact moment. How meta is that? But screencasting software is amazing. It basically means that anything that you can see on your computer screen becomes an asset for you. Your own video and your voice, any images or photos that you happen to have, or pre-recorded video or B-roll, licensed footage and stock footage that you purchase or you acquire, any music that you have, and any audio files at all can all be brought together. And then just things that you visit online by visiting a website, going to look at that can become an asset. Or the screen, the application screen of a tool that you were using, or even your phone screen, your mobility screens, or your iPad screen. We have ways of capturing any of those images, any of that as an asset that we can then use to illustrate whatever it is that we are teaching. It's amazing. Let me ask you to just humor me for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to step in the Wayback Journey with me, this Wayback Machine with me, and I'm going to share with you a video. Now, this video actually just it surfaced on Facebook the other day. It's one of our old shows, back when I was doing TV shows, and the show that I did then was called Dotto's Data Cafe, and this particular video is from 1997, and I'm just going to let you watch, and you're going to see all of the elements of screencasting showcased in this short little video clip. But this was done in 1997.
Values in the software market today. I thought we'd take a look at one of these mighty mites. ClarisWorks is a mainstay in education and equally popular amongst many home users. When we first opened ClarisWorks, we are asked what type of document we want to work in. And we can see right here the amazing punch that ClarisWorks packs. Look at this. word processing, drawing, painting, spreadsheets, database, and communication modules all rolled into one package. This is fantastic. I could probably spend 3 or 4 months just playing with this software. Why don't we take a look?
We'd actually been doing the show for a few years by that point, and that was actually the second series that we created, teaching Canadians, in this particular case, how to use computers and technology. But what you saw there with the video screen and my face on screen while I'm showing you the different menus, even though the resolution was poor, we were working in NTSC video, was really the genesis in the beginning, at least as far as I'm concerned, of creating Screencast and doing Screencasting. Now, we actually began doing it ourselves in 1992 was the first time that we did this, but we thought that the computer screen was such an important element in teaching, and obviously teaching in computers in our particular case, but it was so important that we wanted to treat the screen as a character within the show so that we could celebrate it to a certain extent. And so we actually, if you saw, probably, I don't, depends on the resolution of the video as you saw it, but you might have seen a tiniest little bit of a hum bar go through. But if you recall back in the day, anytime that a computer, that a TV camera showed a computer screen, there was always a hum bar, which was the refresh rate difference between the camera and the CRT, the cathode ray tube. That was the monitors that we used at the time in order for displays. So we actually spent a lot of money, and we engineered our own timing devices that would sync the big Ikegami Studio cameras, the big cameras that moved around on pedestals. We synced those to a big computer monitor that we had, and we actually had a locked off camera and a second cameraman who, because we're in Canada, we said he followed the puck, and he would actually move in and we would choreograph the cursor movements that I did on screen, and he would move the camera around and be focused in on it, and it was an incredible ballet. It took, I think, about 27 people worked on that show in order to get that show on air, and it cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 to produce a half-hour show at the time, in $1997. And so fast forward to today, when all of those people have been replaced by USB ports, and I can create better looking video in a shorter period of time using pretty much off-the-shelf software. And what we're going to look at today is creating that kind of content with as much as possible using free or bootstrapped technology that you probably have on your desk already, or you can use for free, or you can acquire for a very inexpensive price. So our goal today is to show you how you can create good tutorial videos that you are proud of, that without spending an arm and a leg and without spending a lot of time. Now, creating your content it's not rocket science. Whatever slideshow package or presentation package you feel comfortable with, I am happy for you to use. If you like to use PowerPoint, if you like using Google Slides, Canva has presentation capabilities built into it. Anything that you want to build your supporting content is the best tool for you to use, the one that you're most comfortable with. Especially it's important if you're going to be doing a slideshow with just voiceover. You want to do a good job on those slides. But I'm going to let you choose whichever tool works best for you. We do most of our stuff these days in Google Slides. We kind of eschewed the kind of fancier transitions and the fancier features that are built into PowerPoint, but you can use any tool and be very, very happy with that. Now, once you are ready to start creating your content, how do you record it? This is really where the rubber meets the road. How am I going to record? So let's start with, I guess, 3 free options. And some of them are platform agnostic, and some of them you have to be on a Mac or on a PC for. So the first, as far as I'm concerned, the best and simplest way to record a really quite a good quality slideshow presentation or screen capture presentation is to use QuickTime if you are in the Apple universe. And let me just launch QuickTime here and show you. A lot of people don't realize that this is built in, but when we launch the QuickTime player, if you just go under the menu, you have the ability under the file menu to create a new movie recording, a new audio recording, a new screen recording. So these are options where if you want to actually record a video or a speaking head, you can do that. But the screen recording is what I want to show you. So what you would do is you would launch your slideshow and you would position the slide in the middle of this capture screen right here. And then you go into your options here, and this is where QuickTime really does a great job. It allows you to select different audio devices. And if you choose and you've got a good quality microphone plugged in, it will then record the audio from that microphone into the QuickTime file that you're creating, and you can quickly and effectively create a really nice, simple presentation for free. It's a kind of a building block that other tools have some nicer features, but the simplicity and the ubiquitous nature of QuickTime. It runs on any Apple user has access to it, and it is rock solid. That is one way for you to go about actually creating a simple tutorial. The strength of QuickTime is how easy it is and how efficient it is and how good a quality it does for recording simple videos or screencasts. However, it's Mac only, which of course cuts out a large part of the world, which is a problem. So is there a free tool that does as good a job as QuickTime in the Windows world? The answer is no, not really. There's nothing quite as simple. However, there is a free tool which can be used. You can MacGyver OBS, Open Broadcast Studio, to be able to record your screen and your camera and your mic, and you'll be able to pull it all together and feed that through and record a comprehensive screencast, actually an unbelievably high quality screencast, but the learning curve for OBS Studio is fairly steep. This is a switching app. It's designed to pull different resources together, and not with the simplicity of a screencasting tool, but instead with the complexity and all of the different parameters that a broadcaster might require. So your learning curve is a little bit steep. I don't want to scare you off, because there's some great resources out there to learn to use OBS. And if you are going to want to use a free tool and do a good quality job, then a tool like OBS Studio is going to be a phenomenal answer for you. And we will share with you some links. Actually, a good friend of ours, Ian Anderson Gray, has some great tutorials on using OBS Studio. So this is a good option. In the dedicated application area, there's another option. You could actually use Zoom quite effectively to record screencasts. When you start a Zoom meeting, you have the option to be able to record it directly to your desktop. So you're going to be able to record within Zoom. And if you do decide to use Zoom, I do have one tip that I want to share with you right now. And that is, using Zoom, if you are using Zoom, you want to turn on original sound. We have a video on how to do this, but basically Zoom compresses audio and tries to suppress background noise in order to make video conferences better, but it degrades the quality of the audio. You can have the original sound that your sound card is hearing by turning on original sound within your Zoom meeting. Then when you click on record, you can record your camera, and you can also record a screen share, which would include your slideshow here. By going into sharing screen, you can choose to share your slideshow. You can choose to share an application window, so you can record the screen itself within Zoom. And then when you're done with that, you have the option to end it, and it will then save the meeting as a recording for you on your desktop, on your computer, so that you can then edit it and share it out there. So there's two options that are pretty good. One is OBS, which is going to require a bit of a learning curve. And then there's Zoom, which is a little bit limited technically, but as far as doing a simple recording is a terrific option. And you can up the quality of the audio, which is the biggest weakness, by turning on original sound. So that's the application side. Then there are the online and browser-based tools. And the one that is quite popular, Screencast-O-Matic, it's not my favorite. It's a tool that I find the quality of recording typically isn't quite as good as I would like, but it's nice and easy to use. It's really inexpensive. I think the pricing is like $1.65 a month if you pay annually for their basic version. But they've got a fairly robust screencasting editor that's built into Screencast-O-Matic. So if you want to record a screencast, but you want to do some fairly elaborate editing, you have the option to do it with Screencast-O-Matic. However, you are working in a browser. It does tend to perform a little bit sluggishly, but you can get to where you want to go using a tool like Screencast-O-Matic. Here's another one that I quite like, which is Loom. And this one we've recorded videos on the channel. It's really popular for recording quick and simple videos. With Loom, it installs as an extension into your computer, and if you take a look right here, there's the Loom icon there. When I click on that, what happens is Loom pops up and it allows me to record the screen and the camera, the screen only, or the camera only. Now, because I'm recording this as a video right now, the camera isn't working. We have the camera shut off on it. But typically speaking, if I wanted to record a screencast right now, I would just simply click here on Start Recording. My video would appear in this window. It won't work. You won't see my video in the window, but you will see how the rest of the screencast works. I can click Start Recording with screen and camera, Start Recording, and they'll give me a countdown, 3, 2, 1. So imagine that within this browser window, I have my slideshow, and I can just progress through the slideshow, narrating the slides. This is the simplest way to create a screencast. Or if I want to show different application windows, I can go to different windows, and I can show that within this recording as well. When I'm ready to stop, I simply click this button here, and it processes the video for me. It gives me a sharing link so that I can share this in email or just share the link with others. And here we go. Browser window, I have my slideshow, and I can just progress through the slideshow, narrating the slides. This is the simplest way to create a screencast. Or if I want to show different application windows, I can go to different windows and I can show. Now, teachers, especially with the COVID outbreak, teachers have been using tools like Zoom and Screencast-O-Matic and Loom to great effect to teach their students at a distance. And I'm going to share with you an example. This is my wife's beginning of her teaching her grade 6-7 class using these tools. And now when we set her up, what she wanted to be able to, she didn't want to just deliver slides or on a slideshow, but she's used to writing on a whiteboard or writing on a chalkboard. So we tried to figure out how can we recreate that effect with her. So what we did is she happened to have a document camera at school. So we brought the document camera home, plugged it into this computer, and then we shared the document camera screen on the computer screen, which is very easy to do. You just plug the document camera in and you have a viewer that you can see on your screen. We then screen captured the screen with the document camera running. Shannon appeared in a separate video, which you could do in Loom or you could do in any of the tools that we're talking about. And this is the result. She was able to create some great compelling video for her students. And for her, it was important to keep her face on screen as she delivered. So we see the results, and this ended up seeing her through the entire tail end of last year as she taught from home to her class as they completed their first COVID year of school.
Hi again, people. I have taken the questions that I gave you guys. I don't know if you can see that. I wrote them on that
So
page.
you see there that she had the document camera in, you can actually see the document camera in the shot, and she was able to do that instruction. So she felt engaged as she created it. Now, with all of these tools, you also then want to be able to have access to editing software. For the most part, other than a tool like Screencast-O-Matic, editing is very limited. You have to bring it into an editing application in order to package the video up if you want to trim things and clean things up. So let's talk about that now. So editing your videos can be broken down into two different classes of software. One is traditional video editing software. So inexpensive tools like Filmora are great choices here. Certainly if you're in the Apple world, using iMovie gives you the choice gives you the ability to do basic video editing on all of the files that you create. However, if you are willing to spend a little bit of extra money, then you can step up into the screencasting tools that are specifically designed for creating screencasts. And there's really only two of those tools that I'm going to tell you about. That is Camtasia for the Windows and Screenflow for the Mac. Now, Screenflow is the tool that I use. They both will create phenomenal videos. And here's the reason. I'm going to launch Screenflow here. I'm going to bring up, this is actually the video that I'm working on right now. So it gets a little bit meta for us right now. But this is the video that we are editing. And here's all the different elements that I've recorded that's going to contain the video that you've watched up to now. And with each one of these are all recorded within Screenflow. As Screenflow is recording right now, you can see the little dot there tells me it's recording. That each of these have a video, which is the playback of the video itself of me speaking, and then it's also got the screen. It also captures the computer screen at the same time. You can also set it up to record an external device like an iPhone or an iPad, so you can have different assets coming in. With a tool like Screenflow, you can incorporate and you can bring in other content. You can say, I want to bring in and add B-roll or videos or photos from other locations, so you can import all of those into Screenflow. Once it's in Screenflow or Camtasia, you have what you see here in the bottom, which is a multi-track video editor, where you can have different sources on different tracks, and you can adjust them, and you can trim, and you can move back and forth, and you can add transitions between them. This is video editing software, very powerful, but also very easy to learn. I think you can master a tool like Screenflow in just a few days, and this tool gives you the option to create some really compelling educational content. Far more sophisticated than the simple slideshows that we've been talking about, but this is kind of the next level world as far as creating screencasts and creating tutorial video content. Let me wrap it up by talking a little bit about distribution of your videos. Now, typically speaking, we can use a distribution platform like a YouTube or a Vimeo to upload our videos and share them, or they can be also uploaded into some different content management systems. We use Thinkific, for example, as our content management system for delivering our online courses, and it supports all the different video formats and allows you to put them inside a learning management tool that people can log into. But you can actually share videos, if you're just sharing tutorial videos, as easily as using a Dropbox link. Dropbox will allow you to create a window that allows people to play back their videos very easily. So you've got lots of different options as far as sharing. The ones that I think people are going to use the most are YouTube, and there's some nice advantages to using YouTube. YouTube, of course, is free, which makes it outstanding, and within YouTube you have the ability to make some videos private or unlisted. Now, if you make them unlisted, it means that they can't be seen on your channel, but you can still have links to share them with others, and if they click on the link, the YouTube video will play. So that, to me, is the ideal distribution mechanism if you're sharing different videos. You can embed those videos in your own website. You can share them in social media. It gives you lots of different options. There are other ways that you can do it, such as, for example, using Dropbox, but I don't think that there's a better way to share your videos and to share your training content than by using YouTube. Even if you aren't looking at the search functionality and the public-facing functionality of YouTube, it works great just as a video server that's free, robust, and everybody is comfortable with. And there we go. We are back. Ends rather abruptly. That was fun. Everybody liked young Steve.
Everyone well, when you break out young Steve, it's always a fun conversation.
Very dark-haired Steve. Yes.
And especially when you're riding in that car, the convertible one. That's definitely a game changer.
Yeah, that was that. But there's not too much tutorial. There's just making fun of Steve. To the people who said that I'm punching way above my weight class with Shannon, yes, I am. It's true. Although she benefits from it. I mean, look. How many teachers have like tech support like I can provide for delivering their online content or their recorded content? So that was good. And oh man, what great feedback! Peggy George has been just dropping knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb about using QuickTime for doing all of this. Sounds like she's absolutely got it locked and loaded as far as using QuickTime. So as you can see, just by the variety of different ways that people said that's the technique that I use, or I do this, and with this kind of this spin on it. There is no right and wrong way to do this. It's what tools you have, what are you comfortable with, and you just kind of you just put your own concoction together of what works best for you, even for live streaming and stuff, but certainly for recording these videos, whatever works for you. There's a few people who are doing our exact system using Screenflow and kind of following a really traditional kind of broadcast and production model. So that was, for me, it was just great affirmation as I read people's comments, and I appreciate the different feedback that you guys get. That's one of the beauties of this community, is everybody is so willing to share ideas, and they're so capable in so many different areas. So thanks to everybody that was kind of jumping on and being supportive. And of course, many of those people are our patrons. So once again, a shout out to our patrons. If you've joined us late, Dottotech is supported through the generosity of you folks. If you find this kind of training and tutorial useful, well, we don't charge for it, but we are supported by the community at patreon.com/Dottotech. If you check it out, you can see that there are perks involved with supporting us, including access to all of our Webinar Wednesday archives. We have 147 other webinars just like this one that are all full of value and knowledge and ideas and sharing, so you could get access to them all. So again, thanks to all of our patrons. And that's it. So Now I did mention we're gonna get to a few questions here, but in a few minutes I'm also gonna bring on my good friend Shelley, who has just completing a course on iMovie. So we dropped a link to our friend Ian Anderson Gray's course on OBS Studios. One of our people that's online is also posting videos on OBS, and I'm not sure that the other people are able to drop links. But if you can give us your YouTube username so that people can look for your videos on OBS, then they'll be able to check out your videos. I'd love to take a look, and it sounds like you're using it the exact way that we're talking about. So it's a limitation, I think, of the YouTube chat, is they won't allow people to drop links. But type in what people should search for. April will do a search for it, and then she will drop a link to your channel. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Stuff. Okay. So I'm going to dive into I'm going to get through a few of these questions, and then we'll bring Shelley on to talk a little bit about iMovie specifically.
All right.
Okay, so our first question I have here is from Mark. Thank you for including the link to last week's webinar Wednesday email about desktop video. I was hoping for a little more information on being able to have a group multicast session like you were doing for the actual webinar Wednesday from last week. It's completely through YouTube Live, or is there software or a computer in the middle? Okay, so there are so many ways to do a broadcast, a live stream like this. In the old days, we did Webinar Wednesday in traditional webinar packages. We would use a tool like Webinar Jam, or the last little while we've been using Demio, or we've used Zoom in the past, and we would have a hosted closed webinar where you had to register and come in. We've taken that concept and we're making it a live stream and a broadcast now, but we're still having people register so we can do follow-up with them, etc. We can send them the follow-up information and so they can put it on their schedule. So currently we aren't using any dedicated webinar tools. We've built our own webinar registration system using our own CRM, but we're using a tool called Restream, which has a studio which allows me to bring April and to bring my resources and to broadcast them all from within Restream. In the past, we used StreamYard for this. We've tried a couple of different tools. I really like what's happening with Restream. It's working great. So that is the tool that allows us to broadcast. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can even up that game. You can use other tools in the back end, like OBS Studio or Ecamm Live, so you can have more cameras and more assets and more switching control. But just within this studio here, just within this environment that we're in right here, works terrifically. It also, and they're constantly updating it. For example, the ability to be able to drop in the comments. You've seen how I've dropped people's comments in over top. That's all built into this interface. That allows us to do that. Now, that is a live streaming product. There are also the ability with most webinar packages now to do a kind of a combined version where you host a live webinar, but you take that feed and you stream it through to YouTube or to Facebook Live. Now, the challenge with all of these is how do you manage that community and how do you honor the conversations? If you're just doing a broadcast and you don't want to have an engagement, you don't want to have conversations, it's very simple to do. You can just broadcast to YouTube Live using any tool. The challenge in what's really important about webinars, in my opinion, is what's happening in chat right now, the engagement, the fact that people are commenting and that there's a conversation as opposed to a straight up performance. So making sure that all of the chat comes in to the host or so that we know what people are saying and they can ask questions, that's where the challenge lies. So a tool like Restream pulls the chat in and it brings it into a common interface for me to see. So if we were multi-streaming to Facebook and to YouTube, I would see where the comments are coming from both. But each of those environments would be isolated. You wouldn't see comments from YouTube if you're in Facebook and vice versa. So that is a bit of a challenge. But that's kind of the state of the art of where we're at currently with the world of live streaming. It's great. It's fun. It's a really cool space to be. Oh, lovely. Deb Eckerling. Deb is just a gem. She's saying her Mac camera is not clear. Is there a workaround? The built-in cameras in the Mac are terrible. All of the built-in webcams. I don't understand. Apple does such a frickin' amazing job with cameras and things like their iPhones and iPads. And they do such a terrible job doing cameras, webcams, in the bezels of their all-in-ones or of their notebooks. I don't even know why they put them in. They're so crappy. But no, the workaround is buying another camera, unfortunately, which is increasingly difficult because of COVID and that the fact that all of the cameras have been snapped up. But I see in some places now Logitech cameras are coming back in. And it's hard for me to recommend anything other than Logitech, either the C920, the old school C920, or the Brio, which I use, which are just so good. So thank you. By the way, we have a couple of new patrons join us. Paul just signed up. Thank you so much, Paul. And we had one other person I missed it. Just a minute, check who's the other person. It was Jana. Thank you so much. We have 2 new patrons. We should have a bell we can ring or something like that when people sign up as a patron. That's awesome sauce. So thank you. So Deb, the camera issue. Now, a lot of people are doing some other things. There are some tools that will allow you to take your phone and use that as a webcam and be able to hook it up. I found the quality to be marginal when we do that. It has been a delay. That's one option. And another option is if you have a DSLR, you can bring it through USB or through a camera link. But that's a little bit more of a technical take on it. And those devices will cost you as much as a webcam for the most part. So just having a good quality webcam, the Logitech or the Logitechs are the ones that we would recommend quite comfortably. Next question. Mark's asking if I'm using an ATEM Mini or a Mini Pro. Are you talking about, I'm not too sure what he's talking about, ATEM Mini. I was just searching for that when we did it. What is the ATEM Mini? Oh, it's a switcher. No, I'm not using a switcher. I'm using software switcher. So I'm just using what's built in to Restream right now. That's what I use. I do have a mixer for audio, but not a switcher for video. So I'm not using any hardware switching. So what we were talking about with OBS Studio and what Ecamm Live does as far as being able to take different sources and pushing them through to whatever your camera out is or your program feed, whatever you're feeding out to the internet, he's talking about having a piece of hardware to facilitate that makes it more efficient and cleaner and much higher end. But no, I don't use any of those sorts of things. Okay. Johnny is saying my recommendations for Linux. I don't have one. I think the web-based tools, I think things like, I'm pretty sure that Screencast-O-Matic will work in Linux, but I can't be 100% sure. It's been a while since I looked. Maybe somebody will let us know in comments whether or not that works. And OBS might be an option as well. Again, I'm not 100% positive, but we did have an OBS screen. Somebody will take a look for that, and they will let us know for sure. How are we doing for time? I don't want to leave Shelley too long before we bring her on. What camera am I using again? Steve Howard Photography is asking. Am I using a USB or HDMI? What the camera I'm using here right now is the Logitech Brio, is their high definition webcam, which is in the $250 range. It's a little bit more expensive, and I love it. It's a great quality camera. I have right next to it. I wonder if I can. Should we do something kind of on the fly? Should we take a chance? How confident are you, April?
You know what? I'm pretty confident today. If you asked me this yesterday, I might have questioned it.
This is the USB. This is the Logitech C920. I just switched to it. There's a C920, and that's without any. I haven't tweaked it at all. I haven't run any drivers on it, so I haven't done color correction or focus or anything like that. It's just straight in, plugged in. That's my C920, and let's go back to the Logitech Brio. There's the Logitech Brio. So in it, I have used drivers for. I've set up its field of view. I've set up its white balance. I've set up its focus. That's the camera there. So you can see that this C920 is a phenomenal camera for a lot less money. Wow, that was I'm feeling my oats. I know.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, Shelley. I can see Shelley in the green room clapping hands. They're like, "What? You're crazy for doing that, though." Okay. So that's what I mean. I find whenever I use a USB, when I use my DSLR through USB, it seems a little bit laggy. I don't get quite the throughput that I'm happy with. Now, I haven't successfully set it up with HDMI. So that is taking your DSLR and plugging it into your computer and using that as a webcam, which is increasingly popular, because then you can use the beautiful lenses on your DSLR and have nice depth of field, where you've got a nice bokeh, where you've got everything in the background out of focus and you're nicely in focus, very artsy. Haven't set that up to work yet. One thing I will say, the reason my camera tends to look good, other than the subject, is the fact I've got really good light. I've got 2 big natural light windows right here, and when it's not daylight out or if it's cloudy, I can turn on. I have LED lights that give me good quality. Light is everything for video. Having good lighting, making sure that you've got it, and with a much poorer quality camera, you're going to get a better job if you have decent light. It's not going to make a Mac webcam in the bezel look good, Deb. So don't worry about light. It's the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Do
let's
you
do
want to
this.
bring in Shelley? I think
Yeah, I
we
wanna
can bring in
Shelley.
Shelley.
So I'm going to introduce everybody to Shelley Saves from Seattle, Washington. How are you doing, Shelley?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Shelley has a YouTube channel, Shelley Saves the Day, and she teaches people a whole bunch of different technical things. But the one thing that she's always taught people a lot is how to use iMovie. And so after, how long have we been having this conversation, Shelley?
I'm embarrassed. It's been over 2 years.
Yeah, we met at a conference, and she told me about her iMovie chops, and I went, oh, that's great. She said, I'm making a course. Shelley helps support women building online communities and building and doing that. She kind of focuses and specializes on that, and she really nurtures her community nicely in that space. But I said, well, I think it was at Vid Summit.
Vid Summit 2 years ago.
Doing a course. I am working on a course. I said, get it out. She goes, I will this week. And then every week, it's when is the course, Shelley? Maybe next week. When is the course, Shelley? Maybe next week. Well, Shelley has the course ready to go. She's got a landing page. She's got it finished. So tell us briefly about your iMovie course.
Yeah, it's taking anyone from zero to hero with iMovie. And actually, it's funny, I am using a screen recording program as well to do it, because I thought it was really, really important to still try and be on screen while showing you how to do. And so it goes through everything from how to import to how to export and actually upload to YouTube. So it takes you through the entire gamut. I'm really excited.
And so it drops in a week, right?
Yeah, it releases next Friday.
So April will drop the link in, and you're going to be charging $100 for the course. It's a big. You should charge more or make the course shorter, because this is your first course. So I'm promising you one thing: Shelley will over deliver with this course, because all first-time course creators basically give away or put too much into it. But it's going to be a great primer for using iMovie. I know she does a great job on her editing. It's normally $99, but for us, such a deal, we're going to knock off $25 for the Dottotech community. So I appreciate that so much, Shelley. So stick around. Well, there might be some questions about iMovie, so hang around for a few seconds.
Sure.
And
congratulations too, by the way, because that's a lot of work to put out.
It is so much work.
Yeah.
It's so much work.
Oh, and she's hosting it in Thinkific, I see. Which is the platform. How did you like doing that?
It was good. They actually made it fairly simple, and so I was really, really surprised. But I'm just so excited that it's finally out there and done. I have to tell you.
It is such an albatross hanging over your neck when you've committed to the world that you're doing it, especially somebody like me who never forgets.
I know, because then we came back the next year and then you asked me about it and I was like, I'm going to walk down the hall and don't make eye contact. I was embarrassed, but no, I'm excited that I finally can go. I messaged him and I was like, it's finally done. I did it. I'm releasing it. And his first thing was, shut up. You're lying. And I was like, I will not. I did it. Yeah. I finally did it.
And then she sent me the landing page, so I believe her. And I've seen it. Yeah, good. So Buzz is asking, what about editing in Zoom, a Zoom recording? What are you using to do that? Any of the editors. So if you want to use iMovie, if you're on a Mac, if you Filmora, if you want to use, you can use any of those tools. The one tool I didn't mention, which we should add to the resource page, April, is a tool called Davinci Resolve. The folks at Blackmagic have a really kick-ass editor, like a full feature that you could edit a movie with, called Davinci Resolve, which they give away for free. It's crazy. The reason they give it away for free is Blackmagic sells things like those switching boxes that we were talking about. They want people to buy physical pieces of hardware, and so they want to. It's like the old days WordPerfect used to give away WordPerfect to university students, so they'd have people trained in WordPerfect when they came out into the workplace. I'm having my 1997 flashback moment now because of the video we showed earlier. But so the folks at Blackmagic give away Davinci Resolve. It's not easy to use. It's a full. I mean, there's color correction. There's lots. It's a beast of a package, but it's not unlearnable. It's similar to OBS, and it's free. And if you learn it, you will never need to learn another video editing package at all. And it's free.
And I'm so sorry. It's Davinci.
Resolve. I've got the link for it. I'll give us. I'll put it in the document. But I just want you to remind me to include it.
Right, clearly that might be a challenge, and I didn't remember the name, so but I remember it.
And while we're on that topic, somebody mentioned, I think it was Nobby, or I can't remember, one of our regulars mentioned a product which is Soapbox from the people from the hosting company I've lost it.
From HostGator, from GoDaddy?
No, video hosting, for Vimeo.
Oh.
The folks at the Vimeo. So it looks like it's a really nice. It's like between Screenflow and Loom. It's a basic video editing and capture package that they have released. I looked at it when they first were bringing it out, and I thought, oh, that's really going to be a nice contender. And they released a lot of really good resources as well. So add a note to the document as well, April. Let's make sure that we have a link to Soapbox. I can't speak to whether or not it's good or not, but I have a sense that they were in the right track as they were building it. And if anybody has used it, it'd be great if you could share. Okay. Oh, Nobby is asking, have you looked at using something like Notability or Sketchbook or an iPad type application synced to the Mac for live drawing? And he's looking at using that for some on-screen demos. Yes. There's a couple of ways that you can do that. There's the way that I showed with Shannon, which is an inexpensive document camera. If you buy a document camera they're as cheap as $169 or $170, you can plug it in by USB, and they have a desktop application for all of these document cameras that allow you to see what the document camera is showing. So you can screen capture that document, and so you could use just pen and paper or marker and paper the way Shannon was doing in the little demo that I showed. That's the simplest way. A little bit more elegant way would be to set up a second camera that you can capture. So you can set up a camera on an overhead, and that doesn't necessarily have to be synced at the same time because you do it in editing. So if you're not doing it live, you can just use your iPhone, hold it over top, be writing, and be recording that at the same time as you're recording this. I'm pointing to everything so everybody knows. But then you just bring that all together. Now, if you turn on the audio in your camera, even though you don't want to use the audio, that'll give you perfect sync because you'll be able to sync the audio, and then you know that your two feeds are perfectly in sync as you go about making the video. That's a great way to do it as well. That's a simple one. You could use any device for that. You could use any smartphone. You could use an old phone that you don't use anymore for that. And you can also use the good side camera for it as well, because you don't have to necessarily use the FaceTime camera, the front-facing camera. So that's option number 2. Option number 3, if you're using a more sophisticated tool, or if you're in the Apple world, QuickTime can capture what you're doing on your iPhone or your iPad screen, as does Screenflow, as does Camtasia. So then you just plug in by USB your device, launch the application, and then you record it as a source. Far more sophisticated, but incredibly elegant. So if you've got good handwriting and you want to use any sort of a sketchpad tool on your iPad, that's a great way to go. And with my iPad Pro, I'm so impressed with the pencil and the pressure sensitivity of the pencil. So that would be a kick-ass solution. The reason I didn't talk about them really is none of those are Bootstrap because they cost money. You have to have these devices in order to make it work. But I guess they are sort of. I guess you could just use your iPhone. And then you could use I just use a gooseneck to hook it up to. Get one of the clamps that you use for a selfie clamp and hook it up to a gooseneck, and you're off to the races. So that's a cool way to do that. Oh,
so there was a question this is actually for Shelley. Do you have a recommendation for something? So we have a lot of Microsoft users here, and everyone's asking, can you use iMovie on Microsoft, which I know that you can't. Do you have a recommendation?
For inexpensive, Filmora is a very good one. And then Davinci Resolve is definitely a great one because it's also free. So yeah. I would definitely take a look into those.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Mark 223 is asking how we edit Zoom videos in Screenflow. Screenflow, you don't have to record. You can import any asset into it. So you just take whatever recording you've done in Zoom. In Zoom, you can click record and either record it to the cloud or record it to your local desktop. And then once it's finished, it'll compile it. It'll let you know that it's been saved. Then you just open Screenflow and just go import video, and you bring it in, and the entire video comes in. It's the same way you would do it in iMovie. It's the same way you would do it in Davinci Resolve or any other application. Just import it as an asset. Okay.
I'm sorry, I can delete some of these.
Farah Henley Education is asking, why am I using Restream over StreamYard? Restream reached out to me and talked to me. They're both pretty much of a muchness. I do find the Restream feed to be really rock solid, but StreamYard was as well. One thing I don't like about StreamYard, and it's going to seem petty, but I can't just log in. You have to log in, and then you have to wait for them to send you a registration code each time, even if you're in the paid account. And I got to tell you, that pisses me off. It drives me crazy. And so that's just kind of one little issue. But it's kind of like other things. It's the relationship with the company as opposed to just the technology that the company offers. I've gotten to know the people at Restream. I know what the product map is. They're taking input from the influencers that are using it. So I'm building a relationship with them, and I'm very happy with it. It's growing quite nicely. And the times that we've been delivering live using the studio have been rock solid. Would we have been able to do as good a job in StreamYard? I suspect that we would have done just as good a job. And if the door had been open for us to have a relationship with the company, if I'd had the kind of introduction, maybe that would be the one of choice. This is just the path we're taking. If you're using StreamYard now, don't think that because I'm using Restream, it's a bad idea. It's not. It's a great product with a great company. I just don't know as intimately what their plans are and where they're going in the future. Okay. We're almost done. Do you feel like we've kind of... that we've done it? That we've done a good job today? I think we've done a good job today. Look, and he's been great. He moved people. Everybody said that he was a stuffed animal, which was so mean. Poor Farley. Yeah, poor Farley. But I think that's great, folks. I'm going to give you a little programming note. Next week we're taking a week off because we're preparing for our own big product launch ourselves. So next week, we're not going to be doing a Webinar Wednesday. We're going to be taking a week to prepare. The following week, we are doing Webinar Wednesday, but it is going to be different. The following week, we are going to be doing a training that's specifically designed for baby boomers and Gen Xers who want to get into the world of online business, and it is going to be more of a sales webinar. It's going to be helping us launch to the public our Gray Wave group, which is the membership area that we built to help baby boomers and Gen Xers do what I do, and April does, is build an online business and use our experience to build it. So it's going to be a slightly different thing coming up in a couple of weeks. This video is going to be available to you for the next week, available free on YouTube. So if you want to check things out, if you want to watch it again, if you want to have somebody else watch it, send them the link. It's available till next Wednesday. After that, it will be archived for the use of our patrons at Patreon. A reminder, if you are looking at learning about iMovie, why don't you become one of Shelley's first students?
Yeah, please do. I would love it.
That's going to be next. Well, that gives you something to do next Wednesday instead of Webinar Wednesday. Are you going to be doing a webinar to launch it, Shelley?
Oh, no.
What the heck?
I know I'm not following any of the rules, probably.
Okay.
No.
Okay, but her course goes live next Wednesday, so you can.
Next Friday.
At that point, yes, next Friday. Okay, so I thought it was next Wednesday.
Oh, no, but you can purchase it now. It just goes live on Friday. And actually, for anyone who does purchase it in the next week or in the first week, there's going to be a gift card. I'm going to pick someone at random and give them a $50 gift card to Amazon. So maybe they could put it towards that webcam.
Well, good luck, Shelley. Thanks for coming on with us, and thanks for putting together the discount for our community.
You're very welcome.
Okay, that's Shelley, and you want to check out her iMovie course. We've dropped the links. April, thanks so much. This has been awesome. You folks, love the questions, love the interaction. Keep your eyes open for the email. We'll send out all of the resources from today's webinar. Have I left anything that I should be mentioning, April?
No, you did. You like I said, you're on fire today.
It was. It's not my dog barking. Your dog's barking.
I know. That's why I had muted. Sorry, Max is calling. But you guys, really, the chat, all of this information. I mean, today's been great. I'm sorry, the chat's moving so fast. So I know
we had 500 people. We're hitting that threshold. Once you have over 500 people, it starts to get a little bit bonkers, doesn't it?
It does. Well, I want to try to answer everybody as best I can, but we have a great community that helps with lots of great tips. So I appreciate all of you and all of your feedback that you guys do.
So note to self, we should not try and be more successful than we were today. 500 people, and then we should just coast.
I'm up for anything.
You're up for anything. Folks, thanks so much. April, you were awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much,
you.
everybody. As I say, next week, we will be off air. The following week, though, we will be talking to our Gray Wave and Gray Zone community. Even if you're not a baby boomer or a Gen Xer, you will find the training valuable, but we will be using it as a sales tool to help launch and to help welcome our first public group into our Gray Zone community, which has been rocking now for a couple of months. We've gone through beta, and it is ready for public consumption. So with that, Farley's ready to go for a walk, I think he's saying. I am ready to take him for a walk. I hope you folks have a great week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Till next time, have fun storming the castle.